there, it's Beth from scrappingwonders.com, and I am up with a mixed media layout project. I have been following Tina Walker. I'm actually friends with her on Facebook, and she posts up these amazing challenges that I have been a part of since last year, and they are absolutely wonderful. And this was a challenge about Iceland, and I was really excited because I mean, who doesn't, want to visualize Iceland? I mean, it's definitely a place that I want to go at some point. But after I signed up for the challenge, I realized, oh my god, I have no idea how I'm going to get these colors going. And it took me forever to figure it out. So I decided to go ahead with a mixed media layout. And let's talk about the project here a little bit. What I have done so far is I have had these scraps on my desk for a while. Some of it's paper, some of it is actually scrap paper from like the packaging from stamps. And I liked the color, so I saved it. And I used liquid matte medium to adhere them down onto the page. And then I have a stencil that kind of looks like very, very tiny snowflake diamond things. So I used some light modeling paste to go through the stencil. And I dried all of that. And then I grabbed some clear gesso. Originally, I was going to use white gesso. And I had my heavy white gesso out. But then I was like, the reason why I have, some of these scraps on my table is because of the color. And if I can get some of that color to shine through, then I think that'll be pretty cool. So then I grabbed a bunch of sprays. I used shimmers, I used one color bloom spray, and I used one dilutions spray. Now, the shimmers are not quite as vibrant as the color bloom and the dilution spray, so I went with the theory of starting off with the lightest color first and then building on that. And then I did a lot of drying between the layers, except for there. As you can see, that's the color bloom spray that I was talking about. It's a really pretty green. And I really like the fact that it has like gold in it. So when I sopped up a lot of that green, because then it was too green, when I sopped up a lot of it, it left this like green gold spot. And I thought that ended up being perfect for featuring Iceland here. I also left in all the drying bits. Normally I would have cut this out of the video, but I really wanted you to see how I chased the spray around on the paper to get the effects that I got with everything. So that is the Dilutions Turquoise spray. And that is one messy, 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 messy spray, I might add. It literally, when I sprayed the water on it, got like everywhere. And then I grabbed my huge paintbrush to just kind of direct some of that spray where I wanted it, added some more water, and then chased it around the page, as you can see here. I did a lot of chasing with the heat gun and the sprays, but I think that's what makes it so much fun. As you can see here, I also have that thread is now standing out. I threw down white thread because, I don't need to use a colored thread. You're not going to see it. So I had thrown down the white thread, and you can see now it's clearly showing up really well on the paper, now that I have all the spray inks on it. And I pretty much played this song and dance a lot. Spray, mop up, move, water. Um, and that's pretty much all I did to get the effect. Now you see this cloth that I have here. That cloth is an old cloth diaper. And yes, believe it or not, you can still buy them. These were actually my son's when he was an infant, and we didn't use them for cloth diapers, but we did use them as burp cloths. So I saved them, and now I use them as my art cloths. And you can see this one's pretty pretty painty. I have not watched it in a while, but let me tell you, these things are so awesome. They're so absorbent and they work really, really, really well. I hardly got any of the spray ink on my glass mat there. All right, so then I grabbed the white shimmers, and I think it's called Snowstorm, and that did not work because, again, it's water reactive, so the white shimmers really wasn't showing up at all. And then I grabbed my Bombay India ink, and that worked somewhat, but I guess the wet, excuse, oh my goodness, I am so sorry for that yawn. I was saying the wet, it still kind of seeped through the white some. Now, here I am stamping on just regular old tissue paper that you can grab at the dollar store. This tissue paper happened to have been lying under my desk, so it's all crumply and wrinkly, and I think that just gives it even more character. And then I have these stamps, and I cannot remember for the life of me um, the name of these stamps, but I grabbed them up at Michael's. They came with the stamp and the stencil from Dilutions, and I love them. So I stamped everything on the tissue paper, and then very, very important, I stamped it with archival ink because that ensures that none of the ink, the actual ink, is going to smear when I am adhering this to my layout. So then I dried it just to make sure it was dry, and then very carefully ripped all of the tissue paper off of the tissue paper. I don't know. Does that make sense? I'm getting a little wonky here. But I ripped the tissue paper off and then got as close as I pretty much could without being worried about ripping that. And then I was like, oh, let me put matte medium down. And then I was like, oh no, that was a bad idea on top of the spray ink, because again, water reactive, wet, and it's just going to come up. And then I was like, well, the tissue paper is super thin, so if I just put it on top of it, it's going to seep through and it'll be stuck down just fine. And that's exactly what happened. What I love about using just regular plain old tissue paper is that it disappears into your art. So now all you really see, even in real life, all you really see are the stamped images. You don't see the tissue paper at all, which I just think is so awesome. I have tried the Tim Holtz plain white tissue paper, and it's a thicker tissue paper, so it doesn't blend into the background like good old dollar store tissue paper does. So that's just another tip here for you all. I went ahead and dried that really well. I made sure that it was perfectly dry because I wanted to add some highlights with my white Uniball Signo gel pen. And that is pretty much going to be it for this project. I will have a bunch of stills for you at the end. I do have to say I really try to keep my videos down to, short, because I know people don't have a lot of time, but I could not get this video down any shorter than it already was. So I do apologize for that, and I completely understand if you end up fast forwarding to the end, but I really wanted to share all of the tips and tricks that I use to create this Iceland inspired art journal page. Thank you so much for putting up with me and watching my videos and being a subscriber. I hope 2017 is bringing you nothing but joy so far. Bye.